Hi everybody, welcome to Gilded. I just have another video I need to do. And typically, I don't try to do this many videos in one day, but I just have one question. Why me? I mean, I get that the devil is out to destroy me or ruin me, and I had always felt something inside of me that Michael was out to destroy me. Because he came from a abusive relationship. His partner was killed in a car accident. And there was a lot of mysteries around his death. And some activities that he was involved in. Michael never really talked about it much, not to me anyway. But I always had this sense that Michael was doing to me exactly the way his former partner treated him. But as I was sitting here after uploading my last video, there was one question. Why me? What was it about me that he sought out? My weaknesses? My situation that I was in? What? Because the way that I looked at it, we were both in the same boat. I was in a bad situation, he was in a bad situation. You would have thought that the two negatives would have equaled out. But see, even whenever Logan was brought in, there was a mystery about him as well too, that something didn't add up. And Michael had pointed it out a couple times, and I never gave much thought to it. But as I sit here alone in my own thoughts, reflecting over the years, and I don't know why I'm digging up graves. I cannot answer that question. I don't know why. Because as I look back over the evidence, I shouldn't be. I should be hooping and hollering that they're no longer in my life, but why? Why do people seek out what they perceive to be vulnerable? Why do they do it? Why am I putting myself through this torture again? Unresolved issues? Is God working out of me things that need, or showing me things that need to come out, so that I can move forward with my life? That He's given me scriptures to know what I'm dealing with? Or am I being faced with these very issues because there's a very real possibility, as much as I don't want it, that Logan's going to, and or Michael, is going to try to resurface in my life again? Is it plausible? Absolutely. That a ghost from your past shows up at your front door one day? How many movies have we seen of that scenario? Well, one thing I do have to say, as I sit here and I took a moment to reflect, I had to go through all of that for a reason. See, nothing goes without God's okay, without His divine plan. And maybe I had to go through all that so that I would come back into the body of Christ because I was backslidden. Maybe that was supposed to be my testimony Maybe that was the reason why all those years ago I left the church. Because it was all part of God's divine plan. See, if there's one thing I've come to realize, that God is a sovereign God. And that He has a divine plan for everybody. I mean, take the children of Israel being exiled to Babylon under the rule of Nebuchadnezzar for 70 years. Or God's promise to Abraham and foreseeing that the children of Israel would be in Egypt for 430 years. That things happen for a reason. We may not know exactly what that reason means or understand it, but we just can't see it. Whatever God's divine plan is, it's not my purpose in life to ask how and why. It's to learn as I go. It's to take me to a new level, to get my ministry up off the ground, to heal the broken things inside of me, or to deal with the issues that I've never dealt with, that I always just shoved in the back of my mind someplace. But there's a reason why I have that spiritual visitation in my kitchen with Logan. There's got to be. There's got to be a reason why I feel the things that I do that are so real. There has to be. Or is it the devil just trying to entice me? As a distraction. Maybe this is all a distraction. Or maybe it's God sending me to search out certain messages by a certain pastor or bishop so that I can understand what He wants me to see and learn. So that I can get out of the past and move to the future. Because it's kind of like, as I'm being reminded, the children of Israel always wanting to go back to Egypt because Egypt was in them. And that they had to wander the desert for 40 years. And the promise of that generation was lost to be given to the children of Israel that were born in the wilderness. Because they were a stubborn and disobedient nation. So God transferred the blessing to the same people, but just to the next generation. I just find it interesting that time I was in the wilderness. And that's what it is from the time that I left to the church till I gave my life back to Jesus, I was in the wilderness. I was circling the same mountain looking for something, but I was lost. I was in despair. I was settling. I was accepting when I didn't have to accept, but I could go back and say if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I just find it interesting that here I am yet again wandering, searching for clues, searching for answers, wanting to know why me. There was a mantra that I took on when Logan and Michael was in this house, and I said, my fault. Everything was my fault. They never disputed it. I was their punching bag, even for their own personal problems between those two. My mantra was my fault. I have pages and pages and pages of journal entries where I would journal 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. Counselor for 6 months. Now they're gone, and now I'm finally trying to heal. Trying to figure out what was it about me that they sought out, that they used. And in fact, I did a Facebook post that asked the very question that I already knew about Michael. Was I simply nothing more until something better came along? And looking back, whenever he took his job with the bike company that he was working for and he was traveling, and where he established new relationships with people out in California, I would have to say yes. He got a taste of something more. Something he could never have here in Texas. He was introduced to the dark side of the gay community. And he liked it. He felt part of something. I get it. But that's what I wanted too. Even whenever Michael left me, he left me for friends and gay softball. He was part of something. But as I look back on it at this very second, I was excluded from that. Why? Why was I excluded? Why was I not invited to be a part of? Michael literally left me for a new life. Logan pretty much did the same thing, except for I kicked him out of the house. And I don't think Michael ever forgave me for that. Me kicking Logan out was the demise of our relationship. But it's one thing I know for certain in my life is people use me until they can get no more, and then they leave. They find the vulnerabilities in me, and they want nothing more to do with me. That's telling in and of itself. It's interesting. But as I walk down memory lane, trying to find answers, looking, I find that I was a gullible individual, that my circumstances, my situations were used against me for one's personal agenda, for one's personal gain. Whenever all I wanted was what I thought everybody else had. Love. Acceptance. But you know, after I did the last video, there was something that came across my mind that I stated in that video. With the memories that I shared of my time in the military and at SpaceX. That no one ever asked, neither one of them ever asked about those memories, about the feelings that I had, about my experiences. Because if they would have only asked, then they would have got a picture of who I was. and how it transformed my life. Made me the person I am today, to be quite honest. One of them, anyway. Or one of the personalities, I guess. But no one's ever asked me about my time in the military. No one's ever cared, I guess, of the splendors that this world has to offer. The things God's created. The natural beauties. The wonders of man. The technology that I've seen and worked on. But I find that very interesting, even with conversations with other gays. Nobody's ever asked. And whenever I bring up the military, they just plainly don't care, to be quite honest. But why? It takes a special person and to be gay to hide who I am while serving in the military. About the diversities and the challenges that I had to deal with. And how I left the military and did the things that I did in my life. Married, 2 kids. Divorce, came out. Been fighting that battle ever since then. But it's interesting that my life has been so rich, full, and I don't have a single thing to show for it but memories. Nothing. I mean, granted, I've got all my patches from SpaceX that are all serialized, numbered. I've got the posters and t-shirt and the hat to go with it, and things like that, but nobody's ever thought to ask me how that's made me the person that I am today. Because if you truly want to be in a relationship with somebody, you ask those kind of questions. Because it gives you a picture of who they are. You get to meet them. And I inquired of Logan, and I inquired of Michael, and just like any other typical gay man, they only share certain details. They don't want you to know who they are. Because if you can discover who they are, then you meet who they are. If that makes any sense. So over the course of the next few months, I'm going to be going down this journey, I guess. Self-healing and talking to somebody out there that's faced with kind of the same situation. There's a whole boatload of us men out there that nobody's ever attempted to get to know. If there's one thing that I know about the gay community, it's shallow. It's full of narcissistic, passive-aggressive sociopaths. But each and every one of us has a story to tell. Each and every one of us, we are who we are today because of our past, of situations, of things that define us. Things that make us who we are today and why we act the way that we do, and why we have the little quirks that we do, and why we have the trust issues we do. But I come to have an honest conversation with the masses out there, for those that see it and watch it all the way through. Then I know I'm not alone. I know that there's other Christian gay men out there. that's on fire for God. And those are the people that I want to connect to talk. Because like I said, we all have a story. We all love our God. And we know that we're saved by grace and by the blood of Jesus for what he did for us. But we all live with trauma. We all have our own demons, so to speak. We all face enticement from the devil, and we fight the flesh. We all have a war going on inside of us. And we're all tired of the lies. We want to live honest lives. We want to be holy and give God praise and worship. We all want to feel loved in the human form, but we don't know how to do that. We will all want affection. It's interesting. We're all broken. We all live in shame. We all live in the coulda, woulda, shoulda sphere. We all have regrets. So, this will be my last video of the day. Hope somebody watches it. Hope somebody's blessed. And hope somebody can be delivered. Y'all be blessed today. Thank you for watching The Gilded. My name is Robert, and have a wonderful day.